Believe it or not, I'm standing in a decor center. For all you new homeowners who are just about ready to pick your materials, we thought this would be a great place to start to tell you how a designer thinks about putting together an entire space. Let's get started. The first place you want to start when you're picking materials for your new home is actually in the flooring department. Now I know for a lot of people that seems maybe counterintuitive because you're thinking tiles or kitchen. I like to start with flooring because it's the largest item through the entire house. Now I have 3 of my favorite colors out. Mine happens to be hardwood from Vintage. Great brand, love the range of colors, but I could just as easily have selected a premium vinyl or a laminate. Just depends what price range and material you're in. Either way, what you're picking is the thing that's really going through the main floor and potentially up the stairs. I'm gonna leave these out and I'm gonna start layering on top of this, and then I'll make a decision which one's exactly the right one. Things about decor centers is they have a tendency to rate or rank the value of different materials. Sometimes it's based on the cost of the material, sometimes it depends on the style. For instance, here in this section, this is all natural stone versus here, which is all porcelain. For most people, they prefer a porcelain tile because it's more durable. So this is a key decision and you want to get it right. So I have a light, a medium, and a gray, 3 popular colors today. And what I've done is selected tiles that work with either of those, really in any sort of combination. I want to think about how much contrast I want between that hardwood surface and the tile surface. So for instance, if you do not want a lot of contrast and you want them to blend together because you like open concept, then you might want to do a light colored tile with a light hardwood as I have here. So it's really a question of how continuous you want the space to feel. I have a very furry dog with dark hair, and believe it or not, light flooring is much more forgiving than dark flooring. So for me, that would be my final decision maker, and I'm going to work with this one. Once we have our floor established, we want to decide how much contrast do we want on that cabinetry. If I have here my blonde floor, I could put a really light gray door with it, but unfortunately it doesn't go that well with my tile, and I'm going to take that away. It's a little bland. When you're trying to get impact with your kitchen, you really want to pick something that makes it look expensive, so you want a little bit of contrast. And that's why sometimes this happens. You start with a color of floor and you think, look, I'm going to add another similar color to what my floor is. It's not quite close enough, and that's what happens here. The natural wood is off on the color of our floor, so it looks like a mistake. And we definitely do not want that in the kitchen. Third option is white. Yes, it's tried and true and been done lots of times, but you can see here the white actually has pretty nice contrast. So I'm going to leave this as an option, particularly if I really like that light, open, airy look, which has been popular for the last few years. Another popular option is something like this, a dark gray. This gives me contrast, so whether I do it against my floor that's wood or I do it against my floor that's tile, it stands out. What I'm going to suggest is that we do our perimeter cabinetry, say, in the white, because I know I can work with it and there's still a little bit of contrast. And I'm going to make my island in the gray because, well, it stands out and it gives me another color that I can work with that's still popular, but it's not everywhere. So that gives us our color in the kitchen. Now it's a question of style. My method is to select the color of the door first in the kitchen and then go back and look at style in the color that you've chosen. So for me, I chose an easy one because it's a white. Now what's nice about this one is it has a narrow rail with a little bit of a step down molding and a flat center. This is what we call a transitional style. So it's not modern and it's not traditional, a little bit in between. But let's say price point was an issue and I wanted something a little bit cleaner. This particular one has the same width of rail, has a flat center, just no detail around it. This one is what they call a thermofoil door, so it's a little cleaner looking when you see it. I could also do something that's a little bit more modern. What makes this door different, although it is white, what changes it is the width of the rail. So when it's flat against the wall with all the cabinets, it looks cleaner, it looks more modern. But if I want to have something that's really dressed up and I have a higher budget, because usually these kind of doors are a little bit more expensive, I'm going to pick something with a wider rail, a set molding inside, side and then a cutaway on the edge of the door. That cutaway gives you what looks like a profile on the wall when you see all the cabinet doors together. So there's more detail to your cabinets overall. Ultimately, they're all white and the style is very personal. It's a question of whether you want modern or traditional, but you can definitely find the style. Any one of them work, whether it fits your price point or not. Selecting the kitchen countertop is one of the most important things that you're going to do. So this is a key one to get right. Now, if your project is a little bit budget sensitive, you may want to use laminate in the kitchen. It's come a long way. Very durable and very price sensitive. Two options that could work very well. I have a black and I have a neutral taupey color. And you can see that the black gives us high contrast against the white and would work just as well against my charcoal door. And if the black is maybe just a little too strong for you because you don't want as much contrast and you want it to feel like in the kitchen, you could just as easily use this taupey color and use it on all your surfaces. But if you have a little bit more money to spend and you really want a lot of detail, you may want to consider a granite. Granite is obviously a natural material. It's cut and polished to a high gloss, and what it gives you is a lot of energy. There's lots of pattern happening on granite. So you can see how it really pulls up the colors that we're looking at here. This particular granite has a little taupe that's also in my tile, and my background white is very similar to the same color as my cabinet, and that's the key to getting the right color. Now, if you're someone who really loves to cook, you may want a low or no maintenance countertop, and that would be by using something called quartz. Quartz is actually a man-made product made from natural material. And this one here you can see has a little bit of pattern, so it's non-porous, very easy to manage. It's just a little bit darker than my white, but the tone is the same. And again, I have this charcoal vein, so it works well on my white color, works well on my charcoal, and it kind of picks up the color of my tile. Or if you want something that's a little plainer, quartzes also come in solid color. So I have a quartz here with a little bit of a blue undertone similar to my door, and you can see how this pulls everything together. So the secret of picking a countertop is checking the undertone to make sure it matches your cabinetry and your floor. Believe me, there are a lot of choices in countertops that are available. I've just shown you a few, but they are everywhere, and you can pick something that is both stylish and budget friendly if that's what you need. Here at the Fremont Decor Center, they've organized all their items based on the materials. So where I'm standing right now is in the tile section, but this is specifically decorative tile, which means it would be for backsplash or maybe the wall in the shower. So this is tile that's gonna make a statement, and you can see all of these tiles are exactly that. We're seeing lots of texture and shape. We're seeing lots of pattern, old and new, printed tiles we haven't seen in the past, almost like tapestry. And one that I love is the idea of graphic design on tile. These kind of tiles are excellent for maybe a wall in the bathroom, or here's your kicker, in the kitchen. The backsplash has become the story. So this is the kind of tile that you want to use if you want to make a punch, and that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm going to add this to a kitchen design. When putting together materials for your home for the first time, what most people are interested in is creating flow. The idea is that the back of the house feels like it connects to the front of the house. And that's really the whole point of an open concept. So in this case, we started with a light wood floor, then we added in a light tile. So we really had no contrast. The danger of that is that it can be kind of blah and uninspired. So we've managed our contrast. Although we added white kitchen cabinets, we started to spice it up by adding a charcoal island. So this is where you create energy. You do not have to have a lot of color to create energy, you just have to have darks and lights. Our countertop picked up the background tone that we already have here, again adding a little bit more cheeky color here and there. But where we really went to town is on the backsplash. This tile here is a graphic pattern that stands out. So this is something that's going to become a strong element in the kitchen. You may decide to pick up this this diamond pattern and add it, say, to the front foyer tile. Just maybe a border. You cut away a little bit and you add it in the front, and then it mirrors the back. That's what flow is, where you repeat colors and patterns in subtle ways so it moves throughout the space. No space has to be boring. It's just a matter of finding good, solid staples that you can live with long term, and then adding those little details that jump off the page and really become personal or become your own. We are missing one important component, the thing that trips up everyone, and that's the paint color. So paint colors come last. I know you'd love to pick it first. It can be inspirational, yes, but really you need all the really expensive things out first before you do your paint. Now, this is, believe it or not, paint colors, but in the Decor Center, this is how they're showing. So I've taken them off the wall to show you. Key thing for me when I'm selecting paint colors is I want something that has the right tone. And although I love all of these colors, tonally, not one of them is right. Let me show you with the gray. I'm not sure how well you can see here, but this is a blue gray and this is a yellow gray. I know you're thinking, blah, 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 designer, I don't know what you just said. Basically, what I'm saying to you is they don't go together. If you want to pick a gray, make sure you use the existing items as your jump off point. Don't just stick to what you see. You may opt in the end to just have a basic neutral color put on the wall, and then you go back and you pick your paint colors after once you've lived in the house for a little bit. A lot of people do that so they get a sense of the space. So don't forget, paint doesn't come first, it comes last, even though it can make the biggest impact to a room.